Okay, so the next type we're going to talk about are generators, and there are actually two types of generator. There's a pure generator and there's a manifesting generator. So the difference is this: both of them have a defined cycle, which means that they have access to power and energy to keep going and keep pushing through what's in front of them, hence the name generators, because they generate their own power from within themselves. Manifestors also have a motor connected to their throat, which means that not only do they have the power to generate the forward momentum, they also, through having a motor connected to their throat, are in a position to actually manifest what it is they're trying to do and bring it into being as well. Roughly 37% are pure generators and 33% are manifesting generators, which in total is about 70% of the population. Now, the actual strategy for both generators and manifesting generators is to respond. In other words, to wait for something outside of themselves to occur so that they can respond and use their power in order to drive things forward. And the big challenge for us is that from early childhood, we're told to go out and get what we want, to do things, to make things happen. And that is how manifestors work. It is not how generators are designed to work. So as a result of that, many generators are frustrated. And if you're a manifesting generator, you're really lucky because you get to be both angry, like a manifestor, not self, and frustrated as a generator. So it's a double whammy when you're operating from the not self. So the challenge for all of us is that most of the time, society is conditioning us to go and initiate, to make things happen. So one of the nice things about being a generator, I'm a generator myself, is that actually once I understood that, it's much easier for me to begin to sit back and wait to respond instead of going out and initiating things which don't work out for me, which lead to me getting frustrated and giving up and quitting on things. And I've got loads of things that I've decided I'm going to go off and do that I've got so far through invested sometimes quite substantial amounts of money and time in, and then deciding it's not for me. And that's because I decided it's what I should do. Whereas if I look at the opportunities that came to me, and this is one of them, this kind of came to me 20 odd years ago, and now it's come back again through a conversation. So I'm responding to that. And already I can feel that this is something that I'm really getting involved in. And the piece for me is that when I'm doing what's correct for me, then I experience satisfaction instead of frustration. So, in some ways, it's good being a generator when you come to this work, because it's very easy to start to recognize when you're initiating as opposed to waiting to respond. So the change can be made pretty quickly. So for manifesting generators, this is really difficult because they have that ability to initiate because they have a motor connected to their throat, and yet they're still supposed to wait to respond to something happening outside them, because otherwise what they're going to do is they're not going to hear the word no. They're going to keep pushing through because they have this sacral energy that's going to keep them pushing through, and all they're going to do is burn themselves out doing things they hate. And it's the same for generators. Generators that try to initiate the right job or the right role invariably end up in jobs that don't satisfy them, that they don't get success in. Whereas if they wait and respond to something that feels right for them, they'll end up in jobs that are actually fulfilling for them. And I've been very fortunate. In my early career, I went out and got lots of jobs and talked myself into jobs that weren't right for me, and I was deeply uncomfortable doing them. And then all of a sudden, opportunities started coming up. People I'd worked with would contact me and ask me if I wanted something else, and I got headhunted into a couple of jobs. So that put me in a position where I could choose to respond, and I then the last sort of 30 odd years of my working life, I've been very fortunate to do jobs that have been hard to do. I've worked really hard. I've really enjoyed what I've done and been deeply satisfied about what I've done as a result of that. So that's what it feels like when you're operating from self. Now, most of us are not using our energy correctly, and it's because it gets switched off when we're children. So what happens for a generator is when something feels right, there's a noise like a uh-huh. And when something feels wrong, there's a uh-uh. And actually, that's exactly how we express that verbally like that. And of course, what happens as children is when somebody asks us if we want to do something and we go, or we're told, no, use your words, speak properly. So what happens is we get out of the habit of making those noises and listening to those noises. And because of that, we disconnect from the true potential in our sacral center. So the key with this is for, if there are two generators together and you have a decision to make, is actually for both of you to talk about it and listen to each other and listen for the sounds. And ironically, once you start doing that, it's very easy to suddenly recognize whether something is right for you or wrong for you. And by doing that, you're much more likely to have success as opposed to frustration. And I find myself using the word I'm so frustrated by this a lot. So they're easy to spot people when they're in not self as a generator. So in terms of famous generators, people like Dustin Hoffman is a pure generator, and manifesting generators, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's a manifesting generator who probably ultimately is working correctly. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got somebody like Donald Trump, who's a manifesting generator. And I think it's really easy to see the anger and the frustration in that man, because he is trying to initiate all of the time. He's not responding. And as long as he continues to try to initiate, he is going to come up against resistance, and that resistance is going to make him angry, spiteful, and lead to a lot of frustration. So again, because of the different centers that are involved, and there will be different authorities. So the strategy is always to respond. The authorities will be different depending on which other centers are also defined in your body graph. So the only way to really find out more about what type of generator you are, or what type of manifesting generator you are, and which motor is driving the manifestation, is to have a chart produced and then have it interpreted by somebody who fully understands human design. So getting the charts, very straightforward. There's lots of places on the internet you can get them for free. Actually having somebody who can really bring it to life for you, it is something that you're much better to find somebody who has studied and been trained in it.